All right, Zeb, thank you for being in connection with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited.
Yeah, so curious what you had planned for this interaction, actually. If that'd be great.
I love that. Well, I'm just excited to chat with two internet friends. And, this is kind of the power of the good side of social media, right? Where you can meet interesting people and have conversations from around the world. And, Serena, like, not to get too deep too quick, but I had a family issue 2 weeks ago and was telling a group chat about that. And Sierra, for the friends listening, or chat and was explaining a little bit about my situation, family, and Serena reached out and had a really, really heartfelt conversation about, how to think about that and ways that I can approach that in a healthy way. And so I'm just really grateful for you both. And thank you for the chat. And I should mention there's literally road construction 20 feet in front of my house happening right now. It's noise. That's the one time of the year, obviously, they choose to do that is today. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, I love it. And thank you for starting there, actually. I wisely refrained from saying that's what she said when you said you don't want to go too deep too fast.
well
I'm
played.
sitting next to you.
I mean, she said it, huh?
Yeah,
There's a lot of things.
someone somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a heartfelt connection that we had, and I very much appreciated it also. And about the construction, I actually think that's it's such a regular part of like human connections that like heartfelt, authentic, useful, beneficial, loving connections don't necessarily happen in ideal circumstances. Some of my like favorite connections in life have been like when I've been working in the back of a restaurant and it's like crazy busy, right? And then
Yeah,
there's like almost like this being in the military vibe with the kitchen people. And
totally.
like, it's like us versus the orders coming in. And like,
Yep,
it's not
yep.
ideal, but there's like when you're in it together, like facing the non-ideal in an ideal way, there's like real camaraderie and it's awesome. So we face the road construction together.
Right. And like Zeb, I'm curious because like how often like I know Serena and I know how he jumps in when something is up with friends, when something is up with friends and they have like challenging things, he offers help. But like it is a kind of rare, I think, that people do that. So yeah, I want to say awesome that you like accepted also and like wanted to share and wanted to be, I think, I guess, I don't know, but I guess vulnerable, sharing about your situation. What were the thoughts you had? Was it strange for you that Serena reached out?
It's a great question.
I agree. Yeah.
I think that I don't know if this is a character flaw or not, but I'm pretty trusting of people pretty quickly, and I've been burned by it a few times. But I think more often than not, I found that people are people, and people generally want to help other people in different circumstances. Not for nothing, some of that trust comes with trying to understand people's intentions, and I think Serena, you've always been an amazing guide, and I understand that your intentions are pure, right? And like you are just a good heart. You have an amazing way of analyzing complex situations, especially with interpersonal relationships. And I saw that right away in you and in the chats we've had and shared online. I guess I just felt a comfort in connecting with you and opening up with you. So thank you for your spirit that allows for that to happen. I'm very grateful.
Thanks, Dad.
Hmm. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think I really appreciate that about you, Zeb, that you did that and that you are that trusting of people. That's beautiful.
I'm curious about something actually from that. So I think it's a very human thing to trust. It's also a very human thing to have that trust be used against you. And I think we reach like a crossroad when that happens. And because it's like the deeper the trust, the deeper the pain when it's like abused. Yeah, like it can be like very, very painful. And the crossroad, I think, is you can either be like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll never trust again type of thing. Let the heart stay closed. That way, at least I don't have to feel this pain, or certainly I don't have to face it again. And then
Right.
the other one is like, all right, I'm going to, that fucking sucked and be with the pain and be like, well, that was this specific situation. Maybe there are other situations where it's rewarding to trust. Do you or do you, when you experience that kind of pain, like somehow allow for yourself to be with it so that you don't close your heart?
That's a great question too.
Definitely too deep, too fast.
No, 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 I love it. I
That's
think
what she
I'm
said. Stop that.
Okay, I'm done. I'm
a
done. I'm done.
hell yeah, hell yeah. 2 for 2 already, and I didn't even do them. I'm usually the "that's what she said" guy, so I appreciate the, spreading the workload on that.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm definitely it's a learned thing, right? Because I can think of, like, sporadic moments when I'm definitely not comfortable with kind of that pain and that awkwardness. And a lot of times what I'm finding is like it happens in real life. So an example, yesterday I got a haircut, I well, I'm on a podcast, probably, have a moderately okay haircut. And
Looks
like,
great.
maybe that couple, like, think, but, I was like, she was like doing these sides and I got the grays now from the kids, startup stuff, whatever. And like, I'm like, I should tell her to cut it a little more, but, like, in that moment, like, I just kind of froze up and I'm like, I I don't know if this is a fight or flight thing, but I'm just like, "Nope, it looks good." And even though I had the, like, instinct to say, like, "No, can you take, like, a, you know, quarter inch off of this side or whatever on this side?" I'm like, I just didn't have that ability to say that, which is dumb, right? Like, it's fucking crazy that, like, I'm getting the haircut, like, she wants me to look good. I want her to feel good for giving me the haircut. But I just didn't have the ability, to your point, to sit with that, like, I don't know what it was, like, moment of, like, I need to just be okay with saying my preferences in this moment. And so I think online, it's a lot easier because there's some, like, disattachment from that, right? Like, I have the ability to or even talking to people, or maybe I'm just starting to get conditioned to that where I'm, online most of my life and like I'm having these conversations with people, but it's a little bit other feeling. So like it's not necessarily my direct preferences that are there, but like when someone's literally touching your head and like
Mm.
trying to give you a cut, and maybe I'm losing that humanity, like human connection ability to say my preferences a little bit more. So I think it's sporadic when I'm able to sit with that pain for a moment.
Sure. Yeah, I think flow is a real thing, and when there are a big difference between the haircut and internet, especially messaging and things like that. Like you can come back to a message a minute later, right? Um, but in that situation, there is a sincere expectation of a response right then and there, and it's like a bit odd, I guess, to be like, yep. One moment. I'm gonna go internal for a second, for like 5 seconds,
Right.
to like give your own self some breathing space. But yeah, it's
Good
the
point.
yeah, developable for sure.
I do think that, to your point, we met through spaces on X, and I think that's kind of a good training ground for that kind of natural human connection in action, right? Where you have to have a response in real time and it's not asynchronous, where you can send a message and think about it and come back to it and do it differently. And for better or worse, right? Like I think we both have heard how crazy those thoughts can be sometimes, but I think it does give you down the path of trainability on some of those kind of real time interactions with people. And I'm grateful for that platform as a mechanism to just try to talk to people in a simple way again. Like I think for all the beauty of technology and the internet and what it brings for us, it does detach us a little bit from that asynchronous conversation to the real time.
Yeah, fair. I was like you mentioned flow, but then you didn't get into what you actually mean by like staying with the flow. Does it have to do with that the flow is different in like real life conversations and like
What Zep was saying with it being asynchronous,
yeah,
it allows for non-flow types of interactions. Yeah, or like there's like such a I guess there is a flow, but there's so much space in between each like unit
yeah,
of interaction that if there are little gaps within yourself, you may not even notice it. Whereas when there is a more like higher intensity, like more rapid flow,
yes.
with less gaps, then you notice it. If there is something, it's like, wait, why did I just detach from the moment and not
Connect with
Right.
my heart.
yeah, and then
And
express.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you notice it more, and I think thinking of spaces as a training ground is a great way of thinking about it.
yeah,
I didn't mean to say that to like cheapen the conversations I have with people, by the way. So I do,
As it's
genuinely
training,
appreciate. Right. Because I feel like that could maybe cheapen it as like
depends how you interpret it. Yeah.
the Minnesota Nice thing comes out pretty quick. And I think I couch things a lot in stuff like that.
Hmm.
So if I say that, that's probably where that comes from.
All right. Yeah. I mean, if you're training for having meaningful interactions, then you're sort of putting yourself into the training, right?
Fair
yeah.
point.
Are you
Fair
training
point.
for meaningful interactions?
Barely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
I
Cool.
think I am.
Good. Great.
Yeah, for me, it shows the word training, it shows the love for learning, actually. Like that you can try things, experiment, and develop. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, I think one of the fun things about your podcast is that this is a way to show people that you can be vulnerable and still have a conversation. And even though it's a lost art, I think, in some ways, and you guys are doing a great job of bringing that back to just normalizing conversation, right? Normalizing reality of like, hey, we're all just trying to figure this shit out as we go along. Nobody really has the answers, but we can talk to each other about what worked for us or what didn't. And it's just there's a human element to that that I think is becoming more and more important as we get further and further along in the AI ecosystem. So I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. And same. I feel it exactly the same way. Um,
Woody?
the Yeah, literally the connection part of like, there's a lot that goes into how a connection happens and what happens through a connection. Like so much that's there.
And it's funny too. I think a lot of times so like I have a sister. So it's like me, my sister, and my sister is like 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, 16 years. So she's definitely like Gen Alpha, like
Right.
in the thick of it. And I swear to God, I think I've called her twice in my life and everything else is through text. And so like it's just the vibe. I get it. God bless. But like, as people who start with technology first, like have that kind of modality of understanding how they communicate with other people, then it's you kind of have to reset expectations to that again. And so she's great. Like when we're together, like we talk for, a long time and she's really engaging and not, weird about it. But it's basically, having to reset my expectations for like my communication style with her is mostly through text. And, I'm good with that. Half of it is emoji, whatever. It is what it is. And just to your point though, like the connection is there, but it's different, right? It's a different modality. It's a different way of approaching it that I just have to be comfortable with, I guess.
Yeah. It's a different language. The principles of connection are the same though. Like there's a lot of emojis. Which one you choose, when you send it,
Right. Right.
it's a very compressed language. There can be a lot of
We
those.
can get a lot of signal.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually had this, like I kind of like developed this with, I think it was mostly with Rosa. So
Yes.
she would have
Yeah.
these, she's
Yeah.
Salma's daughter, my stepdaughter.
Okay.
Almost
Yeah,
9-year-old.
thank you.
Yeah.
And
Great age.
there would be these moments where, there would be like fight or flight, and then there's the freeze, and she'd be kind of like almost like locked in. She's
Yes.
there, right? I can see it, but like her ability to say anything, to do anything is kind of like not there. And then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I know you're in there. Right? So I was like, how do I,
Yeah.
I need to give her a language that she can use. So I was like, okay, we got to like really simplify. And I was like, okay, hmm, or uh,
Okay.
and then I could use, I could prompt and be like, "Hey, are you feeling this way?" And then she could be like, and then like that. It's very
Yeah, and at some point she would use two hands, so
yeah. So
she would do this.
yeah,
Or
that
Okay.
so she developed
yes,
actually,
like
layered.
the bit rate increased
Yeah.
with the two
Right.
hands.
Yeah.
It
that
was
was
very
very helpful.
helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also because we're Dutch, so at first when we were together for like a little while, she couldn't actually speak English that well. Like she knew some words, but that was it. So also expressing
Yeah.
to you
Yeah.
in
I think,
language you.
I think that that was a challenge, but I don't think it was the biggest
No,
bottleneck.
no,
Like,
no. The emotional part was.
yeah,
Yeah, for
like that
sure.
one, it's like
Yeah.
doesn't matter how many languages you know, if the emotions are locked,
Yes.
you just can't.
True.
No, for sure. And the beautiful thing is that it's like you let her be that. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
sure. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And a lot of times it would be like dynamics with her sibling, right? And then she'd be like, and I think how I've experienced it from the inside, why freeze makes sense is because I've had experiences when I have tried and it produced no useful result. So then it's like, okay, not trying is the thing that makes sense.
Right.
And then it gets really like trained into us to just not try. Like conservation of energy is a real thing.
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
So then, like when I was with her or with anyone like that, like giving them a pathway that uses the least amount of energy that
yeah.
would give me something. And then it also gives them the ability to put out something. Cause like a freeze is like a defense mechanism at first, and then it kind of becomes a prison. So it's like giving a path to flow through that is very handy. So it's like, yeah, that's why you don't need a big win actually. Like this is enough of a
I love that.
going from zero to something is huge, and then the flow increases, and then
I love that. And that's a cool way to think about it, like conservation of energy, because it's so true, right? If you give people a simple path to, or if you facilitate, that even the language using a simple heuristic, I love that. And I think, you can think about this. My startup brain is like, this is the same reason, like you got to make everything on a website simple for people, right? Because it was so complicated. They just have to try to click 30 different things. That doesn't happen. Like the same thing with conversation, right? If you can give people um, a simple way to have a meaningful conversation, and that facilitates better way to think about it. I think that's beautiful, because if she's um, you know able to be more open and remove that freeze moment, I think that's powerful. And I think the fight or flight plus conservation of energy together that's a really fascinating heuristic of like how to just open up to people in a more meaningful way, give them a simple way to talk through things and have it not be so dense. And I think sometimes I find myself like kind of fronting that, like, like the intellectual side or whatever, but if that breaks down the communication on what I'm trying to do, which is just have a fucking conversation with somebody, like it doesn't help anybody, right? So it's I love that. Keep it simple.
what's helped me with it within my own self and with others when the freeze response comes up, and like how do you like be with that? A common misconception I've noticed is that we think we have to break through, and
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, there's a frozen wall. Got to break through the ice, right? And it's like, well, what if we thawed the ice instead? And it's a little slower, but when you like, you're developing something that is more lasting. And because if you break through, it's like, yeah, you had the energy to break through this time, but what if you're tired, or like you're emotionally tired, and it's like, what about those times? Do we just abandon those parts of you to like to the void behind the
Yeah.
frozen wall. So yeah, that
So it's actually like being with others who will freeze, but also how to be with yourself actually when you're frozen. Like don't break through it then. Keep it also simple and then small steps.
yeah, yeah,
Acknowledge that you're that
yeah,
right now
yeah.
and then go from there.
Yeah. So like that feeling of warmth has a very like it's so beautiful how it works out in language actually, because we feel it when someone is warm with us.
Yeah.
It's like, well, when people are in a frozen state, they could use that warmth, and it's very handy. And it is this is the thing I find very lovely. Like if you judge it immediately, warmth has zero beneficial effect. It's like, oh, this did nothing. The wall is still there. It's like, yeah, but give it a second.
Right.
These things take time
Yes.
and it's a buildup of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, now to take this, apply it to the hairs moment. So, yes. And then the your self-expression, which is that You catch yourself in that moment, you're like, "Whoa, okay, I appear frozen here," right? The kind of the more colder approach is to do sort of like an analysis, which can often just loop in a kind of like the theme is like, "What's wrong with me?" type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Or like
Familiar with them.
maybe more positive framing would be like, "I should be better," right? But that's like basically the same thing. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
The
the
Minnesota Nice version.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The Minnesota nice
Yeah.
Is Minnesota like the Canada of the US? Is that what it is?
100%.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Okay,
Yeah,
got
you
it.
immediately understand that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the life. Yeah.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Check. The warm approach is being with yourself when you are frozen and being like, "It's okay that I can't say anything right now." And then, like,
Mm.
being with that and just bringing your warmth to that. Like, the version of yourself that genuinely is not capable, like, you don't even need to understand why you're not capable at that moment. And that's the thing. Like, imagine if you had a literal kid, right? And, by the way, you have a can I ask, about you don't need to answer. How
Yeah.
old, is your kid or are your kids?
Yeah. I have a 10-year-old boy and an 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah,
Wow.
lovely.
Yeah,
Actually,
so
same as
alike.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
My
yeah,
son is 11, your
yeah,
stepson.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And your
yeah,
daughter is 8.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nice. Good.
Great ages.
Nice parallels there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So like when you have them and they're going through something that is like clearly for them challenging, and maybe the challenge they're going through also has some things you don't prefer for you. Like, do you go like, oh, I'm not gonna be warm with them until I understand why?
Yeah.
Let's judge to see if they're worthy of love,
Right.
right? It's like, because if they're not, yeah,
Fair point.
yeah,
Fair point.
sending them elsewhere.
No, it's a
Yeah,
great point,
yeah,
honestly. And I don't, in the moment at least, have that ability to say, like, I'm okay with myself for being frozen in this moment. I think
of course.
sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
And I probably need to engage that mental muscle a little bit more
Yes.
to
Yeah,
give that
yeah,
security for it.
yeah. And the like the of course part is that like if you had that ability in that moment, you wouldn't have the freeze to begin with.
Fair point. Fair point. Yeah,
Things would be like flowy, and then
totally. That's a really interesting point.
yeah,
I wonder how often that happens where like you kind of take it for granted that you have the tools to do something where you otherwise would struggle with it. And, from an empathy building side, like me having and maybe this is humanity in general. Like our character flaws are the things that kind of bring us together more empathetically because we understand like tough choices and sometimes shit just gets weird and you don't know what to say and it's hard to do or go through the process of getting back to the getting a good haircut. So I agree.
and again, your hair does look lovely.
It
Just
does.
the
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you.
I wonder how much we can really say they're flaws, you know?
Fair question.
Like, I totally get it. There's a lot about myself I have thought of as flaws, I think of as flaws, and I'm aware that I use a very real double standard.
Mm.
Like, if like, when I look at
Right.
someone else and then they're like, "Oh, I have this flaw," I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, you're human and,
Right.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
so much loveliness." I'm learning to have that same view on myself, but that has been, like, an underdeveloped muscle on my part. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Totally.
beautiful what you're saying, Zep, that it's um like we see things very sharp when things go like not what we prefer with ourselves. But then
Yeah.
when we see it with others, it's actually humans being human and we can connect over it and we can empathize with them because we also know ourselves and we're going through the same things. So it's actually a way of connecting with people because like I have things I certainly can improve on. And then when I see that with others, I don't want to I don't judge it. I'm curious how they can take their next step and how can they develop there and how can I support like things like that. So it's actually a lovely way of making bridges between us humans in empathizing with each other and seeing us as like the learning beings that we are. Yeah, and I think like human life is super layered and complex. So there's always something to learn. It's actually awesome to be connecting with others and then learning from them.
I love that sentiment. And I think thinking about it from the context of like almost like, like back in the day, I think all the movie heroes were just like this perfect most of the time, right? This kind of like standard like good guy, bad guy situation where these are the ideals that I stand for. I don't have any flaws. Like, I got to beat this evil situation or bad guy or whatever. I think, a lot of the modern media is more like nuanced, right? Where we see more character flaws. And some of the best shows on TV are the ones that have, these deep character flaws that we can recognize with and to your point, empathize with. And I think beyond that, it's I love that. It does, I feel like to your earlier point, Serena, like help you have to use more mental muscles to like figure out all these different complexities, right? Which maybe is good and bad, depending on if you want to watch a rom-com or, a show where everybody is, duplicitous or duplicitous. However you say that. And
I'm not
trying to
familiar with the word, that's why I'm not saying it.
okay, that's fair. Apparently I'm not either.
What does it mean?
Like double meaning. Like my words, I say one thing and mean another, or like try to.
Okay, is there insincerity in that? Okay,
Yes,
got
yes,
it, got it.
and and I guess I was just trying to make the analogy that like I think we're understanding that the different complexities of humanity is something that draws us all in, and if we can kind of figure out how to do that with ourselves and say like, hey, if I'm okay with this in other people, why am I not okay with this in myself?
Yes.
Then I think that could help a lot. Just hard to do. I'm the same way. Like, do as I say, not as I do is like my life motto. Next to, I'd rather be like,
Yeah, it runs really deep. I've seen the whole direct warmth outwards, or incidentally, or direct warmth only inwards. I've seen both variations a lot in humans, like in us. It's really takes intentional development to be like, no, 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 we're gonna actually keep both of those, and basically the proportions change on a moment to moment, but like there's just the variation of it when we flow the warmth only inwards gets when people are kind to themselves when they shouldn't be. Like if you're a little too forgiving of yourself, you'll have no standards on how you treat others. Um, and
great
then,
point.
so that's been in my mind, you're being too warm to yourself. A little bit of cold would go a long way. Uh, little bit of standards would be great. And then on someone like yourself, where based on like my very brief window of you, of course, right? Um, when you're like very considerate of the outer people, like all people minus Zep, because it's actually like
A lot of people.
yeah, like in our internal database, it really does get like categorized in two different buckets. And it's purely because of the vantage point. And it's like, yeah, I'm caring for all people that I can see. It's like, yeah, just check the person doing the seeing. It's a different bucket. So it's very easy they really are in different buckets internally. Yeah, so when you're too considerate. It's like too warm on the outside. It like yeah, that's the other side of it. Having both
Yeah, balancing them out as good as possible.
yeah, I think it's like the definition of wisdom in relationships, and I haven't seen anyone born with it. It's only a developed thing. I think some people get early wins from their parents, basically, who put in the effort to develop. That's also a thing, but it's very much developmental only. Yeah, I mean it so sincerely that like the absence of this development runs so deep in our world. Um,
Percent.
Yeah, I'm curious what you see in our world that then happens because of this when you play that out.
give me a facet of our world.
Right.
It's everywhere. The applications.
I have a version of it
Yeah.
this past week. So a little bit more my brother's situation. He's an alcoholic, going through different flavors of trying to understand how to deal with that and substance abuse generally. And I get it. And I asked him if I could share this, by the way. So
Oh,
he's
wow. Nice.
not
Yeah,
on this, but just in general. So yeah,
yeah, and I'm
I think it's
sorry to
cool.
hear that, Zep, and thanks for sharing.
No, thank well, I just it's an acute example where so he texted me last Tuesday and I get a message like, "Hey, this is my fourth time through treatment. I think I have all this understanding. Like, I just don't feel like I'm learning anything further in this. Like, I'm going to join the Navy," which is something we talked about in the past as like his kind of something he wants to do for structure and like get his situation in a good way. And he's like, "Can you come pick me up?" I'm like, "Sure, sounds good." So it's like 45-minute drive down there with traffic, about hour and 15-minute drive, and picked him up, grabbed all of his stuff, brought him to my place, and got all this stuff here, and we had a conversation about, okay, we're gonna go tomorrow to the recruiter, we're gonna check it out, like we're good, sounds great. Like we took the pre-ASFAB thing, which was the test you take for the military to like see what jobs are available to you, I guess. And he did pretty good on it. He's way smarter than me, but this damn kid. There's this test called a CCNA, which is like a Cisco networking test that we had in our high school. Took it half drunk and still passed. And this was like a test that you can make like 200K a year if you want. He's a brilliant, brilliant dude. Like he took this test in high school called a CCNA, which gets your like Cisco networking certification. Usually, like people go through like 3 years of industry before you even take this thing. He just randomly, we took the class for it. He figured it out and brilliant, brilliant guy. So we get Wednesday and go get ready to go to the recruiter, and I literally have to drag him off the couch because he's just not feeling it and get him there. And eventually we have the conversation. It's a great conversation. He's stoked for this. It's, my whole life's can change, etc. And then, I had a mountain of work. So I kind of did the startup gig and I'm just like, "Hey, bud, I'm going to be doing this, like do your thing." And next morning or the next day rather, I'm like on the couch. It's the afternoon. I'm like, "Hey, let's figure this out. Like, we got to get some studying in for this test." And he's sleeping, so I go over to him, and I find there's a couple beers next to the couch, and find some others, and find some other things, and like I'm like, this is happening again. So I basically, said, "Hey, bud, I love you, but I can't do this right now. I can't do this again. Like, let's drop you off at a hotel, do your thing, and figure your shit out." And by the way, I'm saying this super calm. I was yelling and, woke him up very aggressively, let's say. So I say all this to say, I am very bad at setting boundaries with people and like helping to understand, like, how do you understand the amount of times like you should. And I get it. Like I'm the big older brother. Like this is just one of the burdens in life. You got to figure shit out. And like, that's maybe one of them, but like to your example, a long way of getting there, but basically having that ability to set boundaries in a way that says like, I want the best for everybody. I truly do. But if that impacts me and my situation and my family and my work, like that's not helping anybody, right? Like put your own mask on first and then you can help other people is something that I'm not good at in life. And I think getting that muscle to be flex a little bit more of like setting up those boundaries earlier where you can say like I'm going to be able to help you a lot more if I'm, able to say no to this thing, which maybe down the road will facilitate better ability for me to help you and just trust that you're going to be okay in the meantime. I don't know if there's some savior complex or whatever going on in the mix of that too, but I I just a long way of saying I totally empathize with that, understanding that like sometimes you got to look out for yourself a little bit to help other people more.
Sure. And I will also add, even if it's not to help out other people, you are people, period. Um, like, right? So it doesn't even need to be like a means to an end type of logic. Like you are an endpoint. Um, and yeah, it's a really good endpoint.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Uh,
Thank you. And I'm sorry. I'm sometimes like talk through stuff with kind of like stories and just get that's kind of my default way of describing struggles I have, and it takes a while to get there. So thank you for your patience with me.
Yeah, thank you. I actually don't feel any patience.
It was, yeah, thanks for describing it like the way you did. I like teared up internally because it's so, my goodness, what a situation. Like you want to be helpful and it's so beautiful. And then yeah, the strength you need to have to feel out what is for you is like immense, and I feel that too. And I think you do too. And like I think you like we all have that, like we want to help other people, and it's so important that that you know, like that you matter. um
Yeah, love that. And honestly, I didn't think of it from that lens before you guys just described it like that. I mean, maybe in some way along the line I did, but hearing it out loud, it's a good way to frame it. And I haven't given that enough credence. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also thinking about your brother and just running it through my mind. A few different things came up. One was that I think even the yelling and like whatever you're doing to create boundaries for yourself is also helpful for him. Like leading by example is a very real thing. So even if it doesn't immediately translate into him being like, I need to be more like that too, then I would, not tolerate the things that make me want to have drinks perpetually because it's uh, absence of certain types of boundaries within us that leads us to all kinds of different addictions, basically. And of course, a big part of it is being able to identify what you need to have a boundary towards. And that's sometimes very, very challenging because things are so intermeshed internally. Um, like in terms of steps, usually what people need first is a decompression time. And yeah, that's slow. That's sort of the thawing a process where it's very, very slow, but like people slowly decompress. And if you imagine like a web of things that is very entangled, I always think of earphones that we used to have wired earphones, and when you put it in your pocket and you take it out, you're like, how the fuck does this happen every time? Um,
So,
yeah, this is a metaphor I cannot use with people that are younger than a certain age. They're like,
yes,
what do you
they
mean
know.
wires?
Yeah.
What is that?
actually, dude, that shit's coming back, by the way.
Yeah, wired
Like,
stuff?
it's apparently a thing again.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's like a status symbol. Like,
Oh
I
shit.
don't know. I
Nice.
live kind of by a university, and I'd say a third of the students walk by have some type of wired vibe going on. So
Okay. All right.
Nice.
maybe your metaphor is coming back
Yeah, all right,
there. Yeah.
maybe. All right. Well, it'd be kind of fun if you see like a Walkman also or like a CD player. Like how
That
far
would be
back does it
OG.
go?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, if you imagine something that's super entangled, it's gonna be a mess anyways. But then it's kind of becomes an impossible mess when it's entangled and it's squished into a tight ball and it's super compressed. You have no chance at resolving it or understanding how to disentangle it. And things that lead to compression is actually technically any addiction always actually is an act of compression. That's kind of the primary function of the addiction. You put like a big weight on top of the mess, and so that you don't feel the mess. And
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's for that reason, drinking is great. Uh, to do a quick advert to become an alcoholic would be like feeling things you believe you can't resolve. Does it really hurt? Consider
Right.
drinking your problems away. Not really, but you won't feel them as much. Um,
Right.
Also, fun fact: heroin.
Hey, there we go. You know, it's a two for one.
Yeah,
This brought to you by Heineken and heroin. You know, I
Yes.
love it.
Heineken might sue us for that association right there.
Probably. It's a
Oops.
lovely,
Yeah,
lovely circumstance. Yeah.
but yeah, a couple Heinekens
Enjoy.
never hurt anyone, but a couple after a couple after a couple, yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the
It's a great point, though.
yeah,
Surrender.
any addiction, and what's really interesting is that addictions kind of branch into two areas. We often only look at them and identify them as addictions when there's a substance. We don't look at them when it's a process. So, um, like imagine, for example, having meaningless conversations. People don't refer to that as an addiction, but functionally, like mechanistically, 100% is. It's like I need to create, like we have a need for connection, right? So it's like I need to connect. It's like, oh, but I'm not gonna share what's on my heart because that's problematic.
I'm gonna compress that
Yeah,
and then
Yeah.
yeah.
layer it with like face noise.
Face noise. Yeah, that's a Alex Hormozy term.
Yes.
Face noise. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. What
Face
is
noise.
that?
It's when people use their mouth hole to make noise that comes from their face, but it has no value or meaning. There's zero signal. It's just noise. So
Amazing.
time passes
Yeah.
by, face noise has been exchanged, nothing has changed.
Except for the compression
Yes,
of the
things have
things that
gotten
are
a little bit more
actually
compressed.
going on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, but just on the flip side, because there's also super high value in meaningless conversations, actually, or what you might objectively call meaningless, which is basically if it's fun, that's actually people's decompression time. So, like you're hanging out with your buds, you're having a blast, and it's like we talked about nothing, but it's like kind of like the Seinfeld version of nothing,
Right,
like
right.
really good nothing. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's decompression time. And yeah,
Interesting.
so that's like the big first step, that you need to decompress it, and then you can explore it, and then it's a lot easier to get clarity and make progress, identify how to disentangle the the clusterfuck, and
Yeah.
um, when you have align things, basically align the earphones, pain reduces, the function that the addiction served becomes obsolete, and it's no longer, you're not choosing to not go to it, it's just, oh, I don't have the need for it, is the experience. So
I think that's a really helpful way to think about it. I I know he has a lot of, trauma that he's dealt with, and I think that ball of wires for him is pretty compact at the moment,
Hmm.
and me as well, right? Like, I'm not saying that like he's the one that's only dealing with this, but there's I like that way to think about it and way to untangle it in the way that uh Sana, something you said about like setting the boundaries is the ability to, or sorry, well, you said a version of this is like having the, example to show like this is a positive way to handle these situations
Yeah, use of that.
as a
Yeah.
mechanism to do that. I think I gotta internalize a lot more because I think that's never the approach I take. And I need to get back to that understanding of like, hey, if I truly want to be helpful in here, like help yourself to show them how to do that in a meaningful way. And I think that's a cool way to think about it. So thank you. You guys are great at this, by the way. I love this.
define
Honestly, if
this.
you
Yes, we
this
are,
is
but what are you talking about?
a conversation that's real and fun and fucking like gets deep, but also just chill. Like, I think you guys have a cool platform for this. So I'm excited to see it thrive in the future. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Seb.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you because you're co-creating with us, eh?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
an honor to talk to you. Yeah, I think it is to me special that you are allowing for these depths this way. Yeah, yeah, it touched me actually. So thanks for doing that.
Thanks for bringing it up. Appreciate it. So one question, can I ask you guys something? Like when you've found those kind of like communication helpful tips to understanding like how to communicate more effectively to, especially to kiddos, like I'm divorced, still pretty good friends with my ex. Like we, try to do right by the kiddos and do all that effectively, but it's, I don't get as much time as I'd like to them to, be with them sometimes. And like, I don't take the time for granted anymore because I think that's every moment with them is precious. But like one of the things that I would love to do better. And it sounds like you guys have a pretty good sense of how to do this. It's just like, how do you meet them where they're at in a way that allows for you to have those open conversations and like open them up? Dad jokes don't really hit as hard on 10 or 8-year-olds as I'd like for
You
them.
should try
So,
That's What She Said.
No.
you know, that
Yeah.
relationship currently good with my ex. I don't know if that would help the cause too much.
It'd be like, "Who said that, Dad?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you
there's probably
mean?
enough of that already.
Yeah.
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 So what techniques have you guys found to, engage? I love the thumbs up, thumbs down vibe. That's a cool idea. But any others that would be helpful?
Well, I think it's different per kid. There's such different personalities. I don't feel like I have it down or something. It's sometimes things flow easier with one than with the other. So there's less effort you need to put in maybe. I think Serena is really good at like seeing how to connect where they're at because sometimes I can be forceful in a way and I want them to just get to B from A to B and that right now.
Yeah,
And that goes with also a lot of self-judgment. Oh, they're doing this and I'm failing as a parent.
yeah,
And you are more of, hey, what can we create here right now together? How can we not judge anybody, not the kid, not yourself? And how can we see what is needed right now for the next step? For development. So I sometimes take notes actually when I see Serena handling like, challenging moments, difficult conversations there, challenging dynamics.
I want to share, before I go into any tactics, a relevant data point that I think will give like some insight as to where the hell I've gotten tactics. And it's about some functional MRI scans that I forget which lab did it, but there's this research done on volunteers who took psilocybin mushrooms and then they went into MRI scans, which is I would imagine not the most fun experience actually.
No.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Sounds kind of scary. Yeah.
but good data came from it.
All right.
What they saw was that the brain patterns of people on mushrooms actually looks very similar, kind of identical to the brain patterns of toddlers. So like that's very, very relevant. And the reason is that I've like gotten a chance to experience myself while being an adult. I've developed the adult things to a good extent. I'm a very immature person. Um, um, but then gotten a chance to experience a lot of myself as a toddler. So, like the emotional reality of a child while having the adult logic developed. And then seeing how far apart I was when I started. Like the realities of my logic were here, and then my
Yeah.
emotional reality was like here. Like not right. And then being like, okay, well, that's beautiful and fucked. So how, what do I need
Fair.
to develop to
Yeah.
bridge these worlds? And then my understanding of the brain also, like along the way, I learned that there are literally things, bridges within my brain that I need to develop, and there are different types of processing that catch up with one another and then align themselves. So there is literally no more compartmentalization, but integration. And so that's handy. So that's where I most of my R&D is internal with my inner child. That's what I wanted to convey. And then that's why I have like when I encounter, for example, Sana's children who are like entirely new child profiles, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Very
like,
different.
yeah, it's like, oh, these are new user profiles. Okay, great. The neural net is different, so it's not like I have I haven't had time.
Mhm.
So I need to in real time understand what is going on, what's needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the reason why, like I had an opportunity, I gave myself a lot of opportunity. I treated it like it's a path that really matters. Many year deep dive into being like, how do I bridge this within myself? When I first started, I actually had concerns about myself being a full-on psychopath. Like I read about psychopaths, and then I was like, huh, I
Not
see.
le-
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I laughed, but I didn't. It's serious. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No, it's like
the
like
serious
that's
stuff are the
yeah,
best things to laugh
yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just saw I hit a lot of those criteria, and but that's where I was in terms of being in touch with my emotions when I started, and now I feel like an open nerve, open heart, um, and very very sensitive, and so that's been the thing that's been very very helpful. So okay, that was context. The context was a lot harder than the tactics, but
Yeah, sure.
to make it usable. Um, Staying in the room is sounds simple, necessary. Imagine there's something that happens that's difficult between you and your kiddo. Impulse, the knee jerk reaction impulse, might be to leave the room physically or leave the room emotionally. And there can be a lot of logic associated with that. I was like, oh, I'm going through a very, I don't want to be negative towards my kids, right? I should leave the
Sure.
room or leave my own emotions. So that way they don't get to be damaged by me. It's like, fine, fair, great, right? Except if it's an inaccurate identification. So it's like, if you're literally going to like hurt them, don't. Like, there are some situations where abandoning your child is better. The like literally, right?
No, fair point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's a real thing. But if you can identify that, wait, I'm not going to hurt them, right? How can you be with them physically while feeling the rough emotions and then keep looking for pathways that are not like usually or always when we're in a very rough spot internally, you can forget about being positive or constructive. Like, fuck that. It's so far away. You're not going to reach it.
Yeah.
So when you can't access positivity, constructivity, oftentimes the knee-jerk reaction is abandonment, neglect, leave, detach, disassociate. So we need to find this third option that's not you're present and you're still in the negative. It's like, all right, what can I do? It's like, okay, neutrality is going to be your like godsend. And so that's looks like you're being with your emotions no matter how rough they are. You're being with your child physically, and you're containing that. So you're not trying to improve the moment. It's the whole warmth thing, actually. Things have
Mhm.
Yeah.
gotten very hot inside,
Right.
and you're gonna just contain it. And then it's amazing what that does. Because yeah, yeah, those are the moments where then you can literally put out little feelers to be like, well, if I put out a little thing, will this actually help move it in the direction I prefer?
Right.
Instead of trying to do one big solution right away. That I would say is my
Yeah, and
foundation.
this is also for me, if I think of this, this feels doable. Like for sure I cannot improve when intense things are happening, but I may can get to neutral. That's like it's doable. I can climb towards
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's really helpful framing. I think I don't know if it's just like battle scars from previous arguments, but I do think that my general reaction is flight versus fight it out always. And I have a like I think everybody has a scale, right? It's like if you like I'm chill until I'm not kind of situation, and then it's like look out world when I'm not. But like if I'm most of the time it's and maybe the defense mechanism is just to leave and do it, but it kind of goes back to the haircut thing too, right? Like you just got to stay in that moment for be comfortable with the uncomfortability pieces of it and then just be able to get that back to neutral, like you said. So I'll try to take that to heart. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome question.
Time
Yeah,
wise, we need to consider your hard stop step.
yeah. When's your hard
Yeah,
stop?
I got maybe 5 minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I want to add more footnotes to the to that response there.
Please.
That neutrality doesn't always look neutral. This is really important. Like, there have been plenty of times when you've seen me be the most intensely seeming negative person in the room.
Yes, I can full heartedly say yes.
So it's and like there in theory there are cleaner ways to do what I do. In theory, I haven't seen it in front of me anyone else
Sure.
do that. What I have seen is people not touch the problem, right?
Yeah. Just walking away
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
abandoning
yeah,
the child.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There actually, I did read some studies on this, which is really helpful to keep in mind that it's healthier for a child to see and feel you as fucked up. The study didn't word it this way. I'm paraphrasing. This is Rena's edition.
Yeah.
Totally fucked. Be like,
Yeah.
Daddy's fucked up right now. Right? It's better for them to experience that than for you to put on some sort of a mask while you're feeling fucked up. Because what that does is they feel it subconsciously that something's really fucked right now, but then their conscious mind is giving them this conflicting signal
Yeah.
of like, and then they're essentially getting gaslit. And then like, and it creates a massive cognitive dissonance, which is the most traumatizing thing ever. Like you can grow
Yeah.
up kind of in a war zone, but everything's authentic. You're like, oh, those people want to kill me. But,
Yeah.
and they really do. And it's like, okay, cool. There is no cognitive dissonance there. It's
Right.
less
Yeah.
traumatizing than people who are like, yeah, but actually they don't give a shit about you. That
Right.
is more traumatizing because of the, literally, it causes internal trauma because there's a bridge inside of you that's like, hey, something feels fucked, but it doesn't look fucked. And then it's like, hey, some reason it's not flowing. We need to cut off this area.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, very, very important. So if you
It's
need
really
to
cool.
appear like from a, because we always judge ourselves based on appearances also. So there's no putting that, there's no canceling that. You need to
Fair.
somehow interpret it some way. If you need to, give yourself permission to look very negative as long as you're taking measured steps and you can like run it by yourself. Like, as long as you can self-approve of the steps you're taking and you're like, I am doing this for a reason. I have tested all other things prior to
Yeah.
taking this seemingly extreme measure. And
Right.
then when you do fuck up as you're on this path, because you certainly will, circle back,
Sure.
apologize, own it, and do that sincerely also, because it's a holistic, recursive path. Yeah. Okay. End of footnotes. Thank you.
Oh, this is great. And it's funny how just like, the best of intentions, right? Like all of these things that you're describing, like these, you know, boundaries that are actually helpful for the person. Like I feel like in the moment, at least historically, like I'm like, this is how I can best help them and do that shit right. And like to your other current point, like I put on this facade of like everything is chill, like, the world's ending, but we're good. Like, fuck that. Like it's harming them more. And I needed to hear that because I think that both of these things together are a beautiful combination of helping them actually more so if I'm just open and honest with it.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Nice.
Thank
Well,
you.
I look forward to hearing about your kids, the world is fucked conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be quite a few. That'll be great.
Thank you so, so much, man. This has been very, very lovely for me.
Yeah, for
Guys.
me too.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your questions, your openness. Yeah.
Thank you for your heart.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And
Gilbo. I love you guys. And this has been a great chat. Thank you.
thank you. All right.